Ciao Barbara, I saw you yesterday on Facebook just walking on the lake, and I immediately think, no, I have to do something, so that's why I wrote you to stay at home. And I decided to share my coffee. It's an Italian one. It's my breakfast here. And yeah, today is my birthday, and I'm staying at home. I'm alone, and we are since 3 weeks almost that everybody's locked down at home. And I just decided to explain you a bit what is happening in Italy in order to provide you some more information that probably in US you don't have, or maybe you cannot get because it's only written in Italian. And well, what is happening in Italy that till 20 of February nobody was taking care about what's happening in China. Everybody was thinking that well, it's happening just in China. It's far. It's not any dangerous for us. Even if we know that almost every day thousands of people have commercial and private relationship with China, and it's almost clear that everybody in Europe has the chance to go to China every day. The government was not taking care seriously the situation in Italy as well in another country in Europe, and a certain time I remember we discovered that there was the first case in Codogno, it's the small village, small city, about 10,000 people, not that far from Milano. And at that moment, everybody started to realize, oh well, maybe that's a bit dangerous. It's just one case, but article on the newspaper started to speaking about maybe the contagious could be dangerous. It's not just an ill like every winter. It's not a cold like every winter. But immediately after that, they decided to close, to lock down the area of Codogno and some small city around, like a small country. And they decided to lock down and to create a red zone. And everybody was like, okay, they closed the area, it's not a problem, it's not a big business, it's go on. And then after a couple of days, they decided that it was a bit more dangerous, so they decided to close, at least in the north part of Italy, to close the school. And this was the 23rd. And everybody decided that at that moment, maybe it's serious. And because when people sees their own children staying at home, everybody's starting to think about what's going on. And for the first week, more or less, we just closed down the schools, but everybody was going to work, and everybody was still allowed to have a walk, to go to the mountains, and the ski touristic station in the Alps was open. It was carnival holiday, so everybody was on holiday. Nobody really take care about what was happening. And then it's also happened that a large part of politicians like Salvini, like Di Maio, like Zingaretti, everybody in every party, after the first 5-6 days, 29th, 28th of February, I still remind when they was on television saying no problem, we have to reopen, we have to start again, and they were doing selfies on Milano Square, on Torino, showing their own aperitif, saying we have to go on, economy cannot be closed, and so on. And now, after a couple of weeks, they go on television, says we were wrong. Not everybody, but large part of them, they said, like the mayor of Milano, he said we were wrong, sorry for our mistakes. They provide a sort of excuse telling that at the moment it was difficult to understand what was happening. It's not true, because I remind myself, for example, the first March, it was Sunday, and with my council in the church, we decided, even if we were allowed theoretically, because at a certain moment they decided, okay, we close the school, we close some categories of shops, we just let food and sanitary, pharmacy, and some other important things open, but we close the other shops. And unfortunately, they didn't close immediately the large part of industry, so large part of population still is going to work. But on the 1st March, it was the first time that we closed the church. We were theoretically allowed. Some church, especially in the south and the central part of Italy, they had the worship on that Sunday. On 1st, we closed, even if we were allowed to go into the church and to provide a distance of 1 meter, 2 meters, something like that. But we said, well, the decrees of the government says that old people are strongly recommended to stay at home. All the over 65 people are recommended to stay at home. So we said we cannot invite people in our congregation to come to a worship where the large part of congregation are actually strongly recommended by the government itself to stay at home. So we decided to close. We still did on Monday, the 2nd of March, a Bible study with about 10 people, but it was the last time we did something. And since that day, everybody is strongly recommended to stay at home. And every week, the government provided a new act with stronger sanctions, strongly recommendation, and the police is on the street to control. And after the 8th of March, they closed almost everything, but unfortunately they didn't close the big industry. So there are still 30-40% of the population are going to work, and that was the big problem of what is happening now in Lombardy, in Milano region especially. According to some studies, the period of development for the virus is no more 2 weeks, but it became 3 weeks. So if you consider that still the 21, 22, 23 of February, the population was still going on freely as every day. In that day, some big football matches has been played with more of 50,000 people going to the stadium in Milano. And that was one of the big, probably, bomba in contagious, because it was 19th of February, it was cold, and everybody passed the glass with the beer in the stadium, and probably there was already some people got the virus. And we discovered also after this episode and after some other they've studied in the near of Milano that the asymptomatic people, those they don't have cold, don't show any kind of typical symptom of the virus, they bring the virus as well as the other. Maybe not that strong, but it's quite the same. So everybody can be one factor of contagious everyone else. And that's why we are staying at home. We are just calling the people in the parish, and my work as pastor now is providing some video with Bible meditation, with some recommendation, and I provide the video now as well as I do that for you. And we read the Bible together, we pray together, we are learning to use all the kind of application for conference call, chatting together. And a lot of people on my age are calling me as pastor, telling me, Davide, please, could you call my mom and my dad, because I'm not strong enough to convince them to stay at home. They are so used to go every day out for buying something, for a short walk, for shopping, but they don't want to stay at home. So please, if you as pastor, you can call them and stay at home. That's why I say the same to you, and that's why I think that we have to be prepared to force our government, we in Italy, in Europe, as well as you do in US, to force our government and our leaders of industry to close all the not necessary industry. Food is necessary, a lot of other things is necessary, sanitary production are necessary, but for example, many other things are not. And still now, unfortunately, and also in Milan region, a lot of places are still open, and a lot of people were still going to work, and they use public transportation because they don't have any other chance. And even if in many places you can use smart working, in many other not. So my suggestion is, please convince as much possible people you can to stay at home, to wash your hand, to go for buying food just once a week, or the minimum they can. They don't they don't have to go to buy bullets and weapons because it's completely useless. The food will be in the supermarket, and try to convince the people that is important and is not a fact of limiting the personal freedom. Is it? Indeed. And we have to monitorize and take care about the abuse of our governments in terms of controlling, in terms of what they are using about the situation. For example, in South Korea, they have got the best result in not have an enormous number of contagious people, but they use the smartphone GPS system to identify those are going outside and to checking all the contact you had in the past days in case they discover you got a virus, so you can be controlled and they can control the other people. They can have the virus. Actually, in Italy, with all the system we did in the last 3 weeks, 1 month almost, according to the statistic, we have more than 60,000 people got a virus and more than 6,000 people died. The statistics is completely false. Completely false. I personally know already some people, they've died in the room, especially old people, without any kind of tampons. So that means a lot of people, they got the virus, and maybe they are not dying because of the virus, but with the virus. They had a lot of other pathologies, as many old people had, but they are not in the statistics. So that means that probably the people died with the virus are much more than 6,000. And if we compare the percentage of died people in China, in Iran, in Korea, so those they have started before Italy, normally the percentage of lethality of this virus is about 2-3%. So if we compare, the percentage in Italy is completely absurd to see that in Italy we have only 60,000 people with the virus and 6,000, so 10%. So probably we have more than 6,000 people dead. Let's say 10,000, for example. And 10,000 should be the same percentage of contagious people we had in China. So that means that 10,000 people dead are 2 or 3%. So that means that in Italy we have already 100, 200, 300 people with the virus. 400 probably already today. Yesterday, 5,000 people more got the virus and 800 people more are dead. We have multiplied the number for 4 or 5 more, especially the number of contagious people. Probably we will see some good result when we will overpass the top of the wave, and the top of the wave should be in a couple of days. Till the 9th of March, a lot of places were still open, especially in the south. So after 3 weeks, the 31st of March, probably that will be the top of the wave, and we have probably to have some days more because a lot of people, they were afraid. They escaped from Milano and they go to the south without any control. They take the train in the night and they arrive in the south. So probably after the 2nd of April, we could have some good prevision about the future. But I'm pretty sure that you, as well in Europe, you are in a big late. I check what is happening in US, I check what is happening in UK and in France, and everybody was telling, well, that's not a big problem, we can go on, we have some good healthy system. It's not true. Italy, especially in the north, especially in Milano, has one of the most important center of healthy system in Europe and in the wood world. The only problem that we had, we didn't have a large number of intensive therapy as we need. But we have a better system than in UK, we have a better system than in US, because we have not a public healthy system. And a lot of people, they've been not controlled because a tampon, it will cost an amazing number of dollars. So please, make pressure as you can on your government to make tampons and control on the many you can. And everybody can be a factor of contagious, even if you don't have anything. So, hope to stay in touch with you. Now I'm going to have my conference call. You are still sleeping now in Chicago. And, well, if you want, you can share this video. It's a bit long, it's 15 minutes, already 16. But I thought it was important to tell all these things to you, and we can stay in touch for the next week. A big hug, Barbara, and to you, to your husband, to all the congregation, to all the people I know, and take care. Ciao.